Am I the asshole? For telling my girlfriend she is not functional? Been with this girl for almost 3 years now. Emo, the past year she has given absolutely no effort towards her life, and it has completely turned me off, not just sexually, but just from the relationship as a whole. She's 25, has no job, lives at her parents' house, doesn't go to school, doesn't drive, has a license, but is scared of the road. I also live at my parents' house, am 22, in college, and work part-time. I've been telling her for months now that she's needed go do something. Anything. Literally anything at this point. Go take driving lessons I offered to pay, get a job, go back to school, start working out. I'm the one that drives 30 minutes back and forth to pick her up when we hang out. Unless we're hanging out, odds are she sits in her room and doesn't leave the house for the entire day. She stopped going to therapy, too. I've been nudging her nicely for the past year, slowly getting more and more fed up. It's always I'm trying my best or I'm working on it. Never any action being taken. I offer to help from any aspect. I know it's going to take one step at a time, but if she ever takes that first step, it's dropped within a week. She started working out, but gave up after 2 weeks. She literally had a job at a local store, but then called them and told them she couldn't do it anymore, gave them and me some BS excuse. There is always an excuse. Clearly, I'm fed up with it. I've been trying for a whole year. And I've always asked nicely, offered to do everything with her. Help her drive, go to the gym with her, help her find a job. Still nothing. Fast forward to last week, where she tells me that I'm not giving enough effort in the relationship and I need to treat her better in some ways. Very fair, I could be better in some aspects, but then I bring up the point that I've been asking you to do these things for months on end, that is genuinely a source of my lack of effort towards the relationship. That's when I said something like, how am I supposed to give effort towards us when you aren't even functional at a basic level? Come on, I'm asking for the bare minimum here. It sounds mean now that I think it back, but can you see where I'm coming from? I did not mean for it to be mean, but genuinely being honest, she is 25 and quite literally sits at home all day. Am I the asshole? TLDR, after months of pure laziness and neglect towards her own life, I told my girlfriend she is not functional at a basic level. You two are not compatible. Time to find someone who shares your goals, aspirations and wants to work together to achieve them. It sounds like you have put so much effort into this relationship and she just can't recognize that. You can move mountains for people like her and it still won't be enough. The fact that you are able to admit that you aren't perfect while she is telling you to put more effort in just shows how much more mature and self-reflection you are able to do. You really need to move on, not the asshole. There's no need to set yourself on fire to keep this grown woman warm. Move on before you end up resenting her. If you don't already, that is. Not the asshole. You are making an effort and she is not. The relationship is totally out of whack. You really need to reassess whether you want to continue the relationship. Break up. Nata. She sounds depressed. I would encourage therapy hard. If you don't want to be with her, then leave. Don't just hang around being judgmental. It sounds to me as if she's depressed. It's really difficult to get motivated to do anything when you're depressed. But that's also not your fault. Not the asshole. 1. You two aren't compatible. 2. People aren't your problem to fix. 3. It's not gonna get better. 4. It's not your fault, neither hers. Move on. Info. What exactly does she mean by you needing to treat her better? Furthermore, what are these boyfriend duties you admit to neglecting? Being with someone who's this depressed is mentally and emotionally exhausting and not worth the effort. I've been where you are, OP, and trust me when I say get out now. You're only going to grow to resent her and your pushing won't make any difference on her end. You're not the asshole, but you will be if you stay in this toxic relationship. So break up. If you are this miserable with her and this incompatible, stop stop wasting your own time. Not the asshole for wanting to leave, as that's your prerogative, but you're the asshole for stubbornly saying she doesn't have depression and only mild anxiety when her whole behavior screams severe depression. After reading some comments, whatever happens, tell her to get back into therapy. Not the asshole. Do not waste any more time on this relationship. You cannot fix people. Does she suffer from untreated depression? I tend to go with the she for not doing anything about her situation, and you because you keep beating the dead horse that is your relationship, seeing as you neither desire nor respect her. Edit: in this case it's meant as you being an asshole to yourself. It's harshly put, but from how you tell it, it doesn't sound like you're wrong, and people might need to hear some harsh truths now and then. I'd say you're not the asshole. Leave the relationship though. It's just gonna make the both of you more unhappy and bitter unless by some miracle stuff starts changing. Maybe, just maybe, that'll help her out in the long run, since it now sounds like she's also just become reliant on you. I know people like her, and went through some kinda rough times myself. Changing out of that must be a decision she feels and makes within herself before any amount of support or coercion can have any lasting impact. Not the asshole, and you should run from this relationship. Not the asshole, you two are not a match. She doesn't have any ambition and it sounds like you do. It's okay to end things. While it may sound harsh, you're not wrong. She's not functional and doesn't want to be. Move on. She's depressed and you're judgmental. You're not helping. Break up with her and leave. Admonishing her like a child will only build resentment for both of you, instead of motivation for her. For the last 3 months I was trying to get a partial job, and I don't know if I'd survive with the focus on that goal. Clinical depression. You're right, she must find something to focus on. You might weren't the most tactful about it, but 100 correct. Not the asshole. You're not helping nearly as much as you think you are. She's likely very aware of everything she could be doing right now. It could very well be burnout, or something else. You have no need to stick around only to badger her about her worth to you. She needs to realize she has to reach out for help, since she's struggling to start that process herself, and you need to find someone else to consort with before you completely tear whatever self-worth she may have to bits. My depression alarm bell are blaring on this one. Nah, if it's from medical reasons. She's obviously in a major depression and needs help. If she refuses or drags her feet, then you've done your due diligence. Say goodbye and block. Wash your hands. TBF, forget about being an asshole for a moment, cause it's hard for strangers to gauge on everything that has led up to that moment, and there is always 3 sides to a story. But for the past year it sounds as if you haven't been enjoying this relationship, and for the past year she has been unable to change. Maybe you guys need to think about if this relationship is worth saving. I'll say not the asshole. As the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water but you can't make them drink. You are young and have your whole life ahead of you. You deserve to be with someone who is compatible and has their shit together. Definitely not the asshole. You can't make someone do something. You should just split before you cross a line. Not the asshole, but you can't work harder on helping someone than they work on helping themselves. She definitely either needs a new therapist or some type of antidepressants to get her through this. But if she won't take a single step in your relationship with you holding her hand, then I would say it's time to move on. It's hard, it will hurt because you love her, but you can't waste your life being miserable and wondering if you'll ever love someone who invests in themselves and you. Not the asshole. You don't need to stay with her. At this point, she's harming your mental health by neglecting hers. As long as you don't get spiteful and unnecessarily mean, it's not cruel to end the relationship and move on. Sometimes people don't change until they hit rock bottom.